Dear audience, I am going to talk about incest and its specific features, but at first I think I show you some pictures of our office and then some words of our work there. Rape Crisis Center Tukinainen is founded in 1993, so we have worked now over 20 years. And our work concerns sexual violence, sexual assault, and we are supporting the victims who have committed sexual abuse and sexual violence. Tukinainen means support woman, and I would like to say that 90 or a little bit over 90% of our clients are girls and women. Some male clients we have also, but mostly female clients. And Tukinainen is funded by the Finnish Slot Machine Association, so Tukinainen is an NGO, we don't get money from the state. And our crisis center serves clients everywhere in Finland. And this picture is of our group room, one of those. And then we have also waiting rooms for victims, and we have also there sometimes support persons, or quite often, of course. And our address is private because of clients' safety. It was not before, but we have to do this. And we provide help, support and guidance for persons who have been sexually assaulted, raped and or abused, and also for their families. And our services are the therapeutic and legal help, and it's free of charge for the victims. We try also influence the professionals and legal procedures, as well as authorities and public opinion. And also we try to prevent sexual assaults experienced by women and girls. And then we have also cooperation with ministries and other associations, with schools also, and have training for professional. We have after projects, for example, sensitiveness project, what was a training model for professionals. I can show it then later. And I have here some books also. If you want to know about this more, you can find this material also in internet. So our client process starts usually so that first contact will be made by phone or over the internet. And then the client can have a meeting with crisis worker and a lawyer. So we work together, the crisis worker and lawyer. Of course, when the client will at first talk with a crisis worker, it's okay, and usually it happens in this way. But also we give legal advice, and for example, I can be as legal assistant also for the victims during the criminal proceedings. So this kind of help we have, and it's free of charge for the victims. Then we have also those phone lines as other associations, and many associations have. We have a crisis phone line which is open every day, also on weekends, and then legal advice line, only 4 days a week. But then we can have those meetings. Then we have net services, crisis meetings individually, and then also support groups. And as our colleagues from Iceland talked about these therapy methods, we have also those, so trauma-focused therapy, CBT and EMDR, and we have special psychotherapists who have trained for them. Crisis work process means then that our clients are not under 16 years old, usually not. Sometimes we have 14, 15 years old clients, but 16 years is quite usual age for the clients, and then also grown-up persons. I will say that sexual abuse of a child is a topic which is quite well known in our crisis center. About 40% of our clients are victims of sexual abuse of a child, and then about 20% of them are victims of incest. But the clients which we have, they are grown-up persons, or then in later teenage. So we don't have small children. But in Finland we have also special treatments and special investigations for small children. But actually we don't have this children house. We have planned it many years, but we don't have it yet. So, child victims. If we are talking about incest, it means that the victim is a child. And we all know that the children have right to protection. But we also know that the children don't have rights in practice if the adults does not do anything. So what's then important for us so that the rights can be fulfilled? I think we have had in Finland before problems to know with the recognition of a crime. So what means incest, or for example, juridical view? We all know that it's a big social problem and also a serious problem, serious social problem, and the follows and injuries for the victim are very serious usually. But then it has taken time to understand that it's a serious crime. It's a criminal offense too, and it's I find important, because I am a lawyer. You can say that okay, there is a lawyer again and cannot understand anything else than law and so on. But I find it important. We are talking about incest, and we don't know what it means. It's a criminal offense too, and the crimes in our criminal law are then rape, aggravated rape, and sexual abuse of a child. And when the victim is under 16 years old and has been raped, it now in our penal code means always aggravated rape. And if the child has been under 18 years old, it always means aggravated sexual abuse of a child, usually. So I think we have in future more cases of aggravated cases. And because there is a close relationship between the victim and the perpetrator is a family member, it's a specific thing, then also in criminal proceedings to understand it, how difficult it is to the victim to talk about it, for example, by police station and also in a court. And then what's is I would like to say bad thing, because the penal code, which was in force when a crime happened, it will be then applied. And for example, in Finland, we had a very bad law before 1999. The elements of crime of sexual abuse of a child were quite different than before. Than now we have. Physical violence was the number one and a very cruel one. And now, of course, the mental suffering and this kind of injuries and the authority, the position of the person is the most important elements. But we have many cases where it's now too old case to prosecute, and then we don't have any more evidence of the physical violence. And then, for example, the statutory limitation was before 1999 1 year, and we know that usually it's not possible to know about it in a year. And the rule was that 1 year time to report, and only the victim themselves had right to report. So it's self-clear that the child cannot go to the police station and say that I have been now raped. And that's why we have as clients many adults who then start first time to talk about incest, and they start their therapy when they are adult, grown-up persons. And now we have those cases there, and there are some exceptions when the prosecutor can bring the charge, but then it means that the evidence is quite clear. There are witnesses, or the victim has been in the hospital because of physical injuries, and the cases are quite difficult then to get to a trial. Now the statutory limitation is in Finland 10 or 20 years, and from the date when it happened. But then when it has happened 2006 or later, then the person can always report over crime until she is 28 years old. And I find this new legislation then very much better than before we had. But then when we are talking about incest, it means then rape, and our section concerning rape changed this year in September. And we still have as an element the use of violence and threat of violence, and it's important element, but also this, for example, if the victim is a state of fear or other state of helplessness or illness and so on. But I would say that the violence is an important element, and it's easier than find evidence when the perpetrator has used violence. And now, if the victim is under 18 years old and has been raped, it means aggravated rape. Not before, but now we have it. And I put here also Section 5, sexual abuse, because it means cases where the person has been younger than 18 but older than 15, so 16, 17 years old. The age of consent is Finland is 16 years old, so if the victim is under 16 years, it means sexual abuse of a child. But then if she or he is 16, 17 years old and don't live together with the perpetrator, it can be then the crime by named sexual abuse. And I put it here, that's why, because I have had cases where the victim has been 16 years old, but have had a very deep relationship, a person who is close to the family, spend nights with the family, and have very much same things to do with this family, because the victim, the girl, for example, don't have own father, and this person had been like a father in this family. And that's why sexual abuse is also here. And I find this kind of cases also like incest cases because of this position of the perpetrator. But it's only me who is thinking so. But when we are talking about incest, I like these cases like incest. Here, sexual abuse of a child and aggravated sexual abuse of a child. And as important as to know what are the elements of a crime and what's the statutory limitation of a crime and so on, is that have someone duty to notify of a crime, and if then, who is duty to do it? Again, we had before no duties to report, especially no duty to report to the police. And what can the child then do when the own mother or they together are perpetrators and no one has a duty to report of it? Of course, treatments are available, but usually by us it goes not so way that the children could have treatments if they are in a teenager. They don't talk about it and don't have so much possibilities to have treatment if they don't have criminal proceedings. So during criminal proceedings they have it. And of course they have right to have it, but because of those cases, because of the perpetrator and because the victim lives together with him, it's then difficult to put it to light. But now we have after 7 years this Child Welfare Act. We are now in section 25 named duties, who have duties, and the social and healthcare personnel have now duty to report. Also teachers, but there is one exception. Priests don't have any duties to report, but quite many other professionals have. And it means then that these professionals have duty to report to the social authority and to police. So both, they are duties now, and I hope the practice will be changed during some years now. We don't have until this day so much to find different practices than before, but hope so the practice will be changed. So here you can find the text and sections which we have. And then our experiences and facts about incest, which we have according rape crisis centers. We make the statistics every year of first calls. We have clients altogether about 2,000 a year, but first calls we have, about 700, and then 40% of them concern sexual abuse of a child, and then about 20% of them incest. And with victims, we always talk many times, and special incest cases are those that we have many appointments with them, because the persons can start slowly and talk a little bit and then a little bit more, and so they are very different cases, more different cases than the others. We have information then, for example, of persons who make a phone call us, and victims are those who are then the persons who call us. And special in incest cases, because they are old cases, and some of them, and quite many of them, are too old to prosecute, for example, so old. They are grown-up persons, and they then want to call self and get information what they can do and where they can find therapy and so on. We we have contacts also from authorities, from schools, and also therapists, psychotherapists. But in incest cases, they are victims. And then age of victim when sexual violence has happened, you see there those cases concern mostly incest, of course, then because they are younger than 16 years old. And there is 13-14% when we are sure that they are incest cases when the person calls us first time. But all of them don't say at first who is the perpetrator. We know that she has been young and she has been sexually assaulted or raped, but we don't know first time who is the perpetrator. But in 13-14% of cases we know it. And then time between a sexual crime has happened and a victim of sexual crime has called to tukinainen. All these cases concern incest, I would like to say. Some of them are other kind of sexual abuse of a child and rapes, but most of them, so 10-20 years ago, it has happened. And what's then usual is that no report of an offense. Some of them has reported it to police, and they are waiting for hearings, and that's why they call us, because they want to know where they can find legal assistant or support person or like that, or what kind of witnesses they can have there, and also what they want to know over criminal proceedings, what kind of support they have there, and what kind of criminal proceedings are, and what they have to say there, and how long time it takes, and this kind of quite usual questions. And symptoms of victims of sexual violence, there are only some of them, because, for example, if I put this information, I don't know if this symptom is PTSD. Of course, I know it can be, I know, but it's not important. But we know, of course, that the symptoms are serious in sexual crimes, and especially in incest cases. And in some cases, the person cannot have the criminal proceedings because he has been and still is in a hospital. But she will know what kind of a crime it has been, and what is the punishment and so on. But then she has no power for it. So, and then the conclusions. So our experiences are that experiences with sexual abuse date back years when it concerns incest cases. And as a crime, sexual abuse of a child can be too old case to prosecute in criminal proceedings, but it's good to have treatments. But so late, and perpetrator has been in a confidential relationship with a child, a family member, of course, because it's incest. And sexual abuse has continued a long period, quite often step by step toward more harmful acts. But we have noticed also that between siblings, the perpetrator used physical violence, and very bad one. But when it concerns incest, then when the sexual abuse of a child has continued a long period, there are also rapes and aggravated rapes and many kind of violence also. And then reasons why the sexual abuse of a child has not come to light. There are family secrets. It has been forbidden to speak about it. And then threat of a perpetrator and state of fear. Feelings of a victim to be self-guilty for sexual abuse. And then this conflict of interest. Parents don't support a victim. It can happen that, for example, if the father is perpetrator, the mother support her husband, not the victim. And that's why victim has no support or help in her childhood. And the long-term symptoms for a victim affects the person's entire well-being. Mental symptoms such as depression, post-traumatic stress disorders, and all your psychotherapists and psychiatrists know what kind of symptoms they are and how serious they are. And then authorities have not been able to identify these symptoms of a victim, not at school, not in healthcare centers, not in a place where there are, for example, healthcare personnel. And not until then, as an adult, the victim can talk first time about the abuse and want to report to police. She has moved to own a home, and it can be that she has then own baby, and then she remember those old things what has happened, and the trauma memories are then the reason why they want to know what kind of treatment and what kind of therapy they can have, because they cannot leave. Some of them have thought many times make suicide, for example, and some of them has made it too, I know. So it's a very serious crime, and what to do then that it could not happen. The prevention is of course very important if we can do it. A need for a long therapy is usual, and when it's so that the criminal proceedings is not possible, then the economical costs are then victims' matter. Some of those cases, for example in Finland, the state treasury can pay something, but they have a 10 years limitation. So in incest cases, it happens then that the victim don't get any money for it, and they quite often have also private therapy, and the costs are then of course much more higher than when they have it as a child in a hospital care, for example, and in public healthcare. Yes. And we have had some projects, and we have tried to prevent also sexual abuse of a child with trainings. We have had this training model some years, and it continues now also. We started with police officers and prosecutors, but now also this material is in use in social and healthcare sector. We have this address seniornetti.fi, and there you can find the material of this, and I have here some folders of it also, but only few pieces, but all this material are there. And the main task is, of course, that we could recognize the symptoms, and then we could prevent the secondary victimization of victims. But I think we have a lot to do still. We make cooperation now with trainings and in some kind of networking with other associations and social and healthcare personnel, and we try to talk about these things, but it's not so easy sometimes, and we always have these same problems as we have had until this day. So thank you for you.
Thank you, Riitta.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere yet. You see your gift is coming.
Okay.
On the left side.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
And also I want to ask from the audience again this question that do you have any queries to Riitta? Kas meil on mõningaid küsimusi Riittale, mida me tahame kohe küsida? Kui kohe ei ole, siis ma küsin ise. If no one asks, then I will ask. So, Riitta, I'm always happy if I see some data. And you've shown us the percentages and numbers. And can you tell me, did you find some, let's say, focused some problems also from this data and made some, I don't know, the steps for the better future? Is there a problem? And is there any possibilities to do the things better in the Finnish example?
Yes, I must say that our statistics are stats of NGO. So we cannot make exactly statistics because it's not it's forbidden, because we must know what we are asking for and what are the questions and so on, and what's the use of them. So our statistics are not official statistics, but nowadays in Finland, for example, the ministries want to have NGOs statistics, and we also give those information to the ministries every year. And then we have some press yes, also. Of course, we have a lot of problems, and as a rape crisis center, we can do also a bit of those what all those yes, but we try to do our best every day. So, did I answer?
Quite.
Thank you.
Thank you, Riitta. Anyway, we can ask more questions when we have the panel. Thank you, Riitta.